When you're citing articles from library databases, periodical articles like newspapers, magazines, and journals, you'll want to follow the format for articles found on page 5 of the library's MLA style sheet. In this case, you're looking at a very specific article written by an author, and it is collected inside of a larger item, the source, or what's known as a newspaper or magazine or journal. That's what we call the source. And that is inside of a larger container, a library database. So you have 3 levels of information: the article itself, the source that it was published in, and then the library database that collected it, which gives you 2 containers: the source itself and the database the source is collected into. DOIs are more important now with MLA 8th edition than they were in the past. MLA says if you have a DOI, which is basically a social security number for an article or electronic books or other things that say here is where to find this thing, more or less permanently. That code, that number, follows that item around. So if you have a DOI that points to a very specific item, then you end with the DOI and life is good. DOIs have a very distinct look to them. They usually start with the number 10 and then a period, and after that they can vary wildly. They can either then just be a series of numbers, they could be a combination of numbers and letters, or just letters followed by numbers followed by letters. Where you find these guys is generally towards the bottom or somewhere mid-range on a citation or a abstract or a detailed record about an article, in which case if I were to scroll down, I would see that there's the DOI down at the bottom, and it starts with a 10 and then a dot and then 15581, and it goes on like that. But as I said, they can vary. If you do not have a DOI, then what MLA says is, can you find what's known as a permalink, or a stable web address or stable URL? This is something that the library database has created that should stick around beyond your searching of the library database and be something that you could share with an instructor that they could use to get back to the article you've chosen, and it won't just evaporate when you leave the database. Not every library database has one. Not every library database makes it easy to find. The sort of words you're looking for are permalink, are stable web address or stable URL. If you see that wordage somewhere, then good. If you don't, then you would simply end your citation as it is with simply the name of the database and you're good. Let's take a look at one. So here is a specific article, a single author, author's last name, comma, first name, period, followed by the title of the article. Notice the capitalization, all the major words are capitalized here, and instead of being in italics like the book title was, you'll see that it's in quotation marks. That's how you can tell a book from an article from a web page. It's those little formatting things. This article title ends, you'll notice, with a question mark, so there's no period at the end. If your article comes with its own punctuation at the end, by all means end with it. You wouldn't then put a period after the question mark. This is followed by the name of the magazine, because this is a magazine article, but it's not going to matter terribly. A newspaper, a magazine, or a journal will all have a very similar look to them. It's also called the source. It's in italics. Then a comma. Now, here's something that's different from times past. If you've done MLA, previously we would have included the volume number, a period, and then the issue number, but MLA has asked now that you include those little identifying words, VOL period for volume and NO period for issue number, so that your reader has a better idea of what those numbers are. So volume 142, comma, number 5155, comma. This is still followed by the date of publication, depending on what you have. This particular source had all 3 parts of the date, so it's day, month, usually abbreviated, year. If you only had a month and a year, you would only put the month in the year. If you only had perhaps a season, perhaps this was published in spring 2013, then that's what you would put. Based on what you have about the publication date, you put. After that, a comma, and then the page numbers. This article is multiple pages long, hence the 2 P's, because that says multiple pages. If this article was only on page 32, we would simply have a single P and a period and a 32. So based on the length of your article, you'll either have a P and a page number, or a P and a P and a period and a string of page numbers. So that's the article and the source. Next would come the name of the library database. This is that container that holds the article and its source. That's in italics. This article had no DOI. So when I don't have a DOI, what I do use is this thing called a permalink. How will I find a permalink or a stable web address or URL? If this article did not have that DOI down there, in this database, I notice that there is a permalink over on the side here, which when I click on it, you'll notice a permalink opens up in the middle of my screen, which I could then highlight, copy, and paste. However, a little bit of tweaking needs to happen here. You'll notice that this web address, this permalink, starts with an http:// MLA says to edit that. So what I've done, you'll notice, is to strip off that http:// the very first beginning part of the web link. MLA does not want that HTTP considered part of your web link. It's stripped off. Some library databases will try to help you with citation. Take a look at the citation tools options wherever they are. Make sure that it points to MLA 8. Some databases point to older editions or versions of MLA, and we are currently on 8, so you need to be using the most up-to-date copy. If your instructor has given you specific directions in terms of creating citations for your class, make sure that you follow your instructor's directions, because it's the instructor who's giving you the grade. If you have any questions with MLA Citation for books or library articles, please get in touch with the library through our Ask a Librarian feature.